findings for the variation number 1, the 2-foot buffer and 4-foot fence on Montrose.
I make a motion to approve the number 1 variance.
We have a motion approved from Mr. Jarris,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Ronstadt. Would you take a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Fontanetta.
Yes.
Mr. Jarrett.
Yes.
Mr. Mariscal, yes. Mr. Ronstadt.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes.
Ms. Magnuson.
Yes. The board will recommend to the Board of Trustees that variation 1 be granted. Now let us turn once again to keep me on track, guys. Variation 2, which is for the, again, 4-foot wrought iron fence on Montrose and 6-foot wrought iron along the west and north lot lines.
Jan, is it possible to strike the 4-foot tall wrought iron on Montrose? See, now we've already decided.
We've already approved that in the
We've already
first part?
approved that, and
Okay.
just go with the 6-foot tall on the west and north lot lines.
Okay. Installing we'll change that variance to just being for the 6-foot wrought iron fence on the west and north lines in lieu of the masonry screen wall. Which you're correct, that makes a lot more sense.
And going along with the same thought, I see that it wasn't asked for a variance for the 8-foot grass island on the back, on the north side of the building versus the 5-foot. So we're assuming that that's gonna be the 5-foot, and we just vote on the fence separately, is that correct?
I think technically that's considered the rear yard. So the requirement is different, and we do meet that requirement, which is why it's not part of the variance. If you guys had a strong feeling that you really wanted that to be 8 feet, and it does, and we can confirm it doesn't affect the fire engine turning radius or something, I have no problem with it.
Okay. But just a question, Rick, for the 5-foot minimum width, the screening shall consist of a masonry wall.
Right.
So by putting the fence in there,
That's the
That's the
variance.
variance.
that's the variance for the wall,
Correct.
a fence instead of a
Instead of a
wall,
wall.
and still get the 5-foot. So that's, okay, that's.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, if we look at signage, is this where we would have to make the recommendation for that in this section? Because we're talking about the back of the building?
We can probably amend our application to include it, because I don't think we're asking for a variance.
Joe?
Yeah,
Or-
all you have to do, if you wanted to, you could put it in as a condition, or you could just add it on your, where do you have your sign? Is it on your site? Is it on
It's
your
in the
site
front.
plan?
Yeah. it's
On your
the
building elevation,
elevations,
is it?
right.
Just change your building elevation.
That's exactly what we'll do.
And just put a new date on it.
And Reese will give it to
The
Brooke.
other thing is, if you could maybe refer to things as sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3,
Sure.
sheet 4, that would be really helpful, I think, for the final
Great.
variance.
Yeah, we can,
When
we
we
can
cut
add,
out
we can
all
add
the
the sheet
exhibits
numbers
together.
too.
So we'll amend our
So there is
application.
no recommend, we don't make a recommendation to that?
Well, you could-
To them?
But that wouldn't be a variance, would it?
It's not a variance.
It's not a variance.
It's just a recommendation
It's
that
just a
we're making.
recommendation.
Yes, there's a section in the notes here that talks about various conditions that you may want to put on it. And you can certainly add it in
I have no
there,
problem
or
with
they
that.
could just
I
add it onto the
yeah,
building
make-
elevations. We can just say, that they're going to put we'll add an item in that they're going to add a sign on the rear of the property and put it on the building elevation.
I think personally, to have it on the back of the building, you'd probably want it there anyways. to
Yeah, you're right,
advertise
that's
the
great.
building.
Sure.
Okay. Any other on variation?
I think we have
West
to
and
discuss
north.
the width of the island. It's gonna be, are we looking at the 5-foot with the 6-foot fence, or the 8-foot with the 6-foot fence?
Because it's the
That's part
rear
of this
yard.
particular
It's
variance.
the rear yard, so we need 5.
Yeah, so
So-
technically, it's fine the way it is on 5.
The 5 foot is fine, we're just
That's
looking
what I'm
for
asking.
variance
Yeah.
for the wrought iron instead of the masonry wall.
I agree.
I
I'm
was
just
just
asking,
fine, I understand what
that's
you're saying.
No, I understand.
Yes,
one of our members was concerned earlier about.
Yeah,
Right.
I was just, just curious and was thinking how it would look with the other ones, but since it is their rear yard and not the front, a 5 foot buffer would be fine.
And going on to a street that's not residential, I think is not as bad personally.
Not arguing the case, I'm just
Second
going
of
to,
all,
one of our
I'd say-
members was concerned
Well,
earlier.
plus, if you do have a semi ever coming in there, I think it might be a little bit easier with a little bit wider area in the back area to make the turns and stuff like that, so.
So the 5 foot
5 foot buffer is fine.
buffer, which is what is currently required, is where it will stay, with a 6 foot wrought iron wall. We'll get past this. Okay.
On the west and.
On the west and north. Okay. Findings, again, will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property. Not a problem. Will not increase the hazard from fire and other dangers to said property. Not a problem. Will not diminish the taxable value of land and buildings throughout the village. Not an issue. Will not increase the congestion of the public streets. Not a problem. Will not otherwise impair the public health, safety, comfort, morals, and welfare of the inhabitants of said village. Not a problem. Purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to make more money out of the property. Not a problem. So may I have a motion, please? I'm sorry, I can almost hear you, Wayne.
Should we see if they have any questions about this, each variance, as far as the public?
Public, sorry.
I just throwing out.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Neil Carbon, Nealkarbin, building owner, 7320, 7300, 7228. When a truck goes into my dock, he takes a wide string, a large truck, that 5 foot setback, that fence is not going to be there one day. So I would recommend, if he's going to put up a nice fence, use the 8 foot setback.
So, I'm sorry, so what addresses are you on? You're on Montrose?
No, I'm on Agatha.
You're on Agatha.
We're talking about the north side of his building.
Okay,
So 7300, right there, that's my building.
okay.
Trucks come into my loading dock. So the fence that's adjacent to, when my trucks turn in, they go up on that curb because the street is very narrow. So I'm suggesting to him, he use the 8 foot setback so that the trucks don't hit his fence.
Well, so you're saying that your semis drive over the sidewalk and go into his new planter with the landscape? and hit the
I'm
fence.
just telling you what happens.
Well.
I'm
well,
not in charge of the trucks.
Giving you my own mind here, I'm just thinking.
I'm not in charge of the trucks.
Well,
I'm just telling you what happens in reality.
well, I'm just telling you that there could be a problem with the owner of the new property if the trucks
Well,
are
that's
driving
why I'm
on
trying
his
to let him
property.
know an 8 foot setback might be a little healthier.
Yeah, but the setbacks
Is on the inside.
on the
It's on the
inside of the fence.
Well, from the curb cut to where the fence is, what's that distance?
It'll be from our property line, so it'll be the sidewalk plus 5 feet.
The sidewalk plus 5.
Right.
But that,
Is the fence line.
but where is your
And to
fence?
hit our fence, you'll have to knock over 2 trees to get to it.
Well, it's not me, it's truck drivers.
Well, it will be,
You
it
know,
will
they don't
be
care.
if it gets damaged. And then you'll have to go after them. I know, I don't wanna do it either.
But the buffer we're talking about is on the inside of the fence.
I understand that, but
Inside
the
of the.
further setback you set the fence back, the safer it is for that fence.
So what you're saying is that, actually, you're recommending the setback, the greenery, actually be on the outside and the fence closer on the inside.
Whatever you want to do, just be aware that trucks make that sharp turn trying to get into my loading docks, and truckers aren't really caring about bushes and fences and trees or whatever. So
I'm sure
it's
Rick-
going to be an eyesore at the end of the first.
It's not part of the voting, but
Yeah.
hey, I don't want damage any more than you wanna have.
Right, I don't want
If we
hassle.
can make that grass buffer bigger, again, it's not something we need to vote on here, but if we can do it practically without affecting the fire department, I'm fine with We don't need to vote on it, but
That'd be something that they could get together with Brian, right?
it'll just be part of our permit
Well, it's up
application.
to Rick if he wants to, he can move the fence in
Right.
on the green space.
I mean, this way you're working with the neighbors that are presently there too, and I'm sure we all want to work together, and you don't want to have your property damaged, I'm sure you don't want to have anybody coming after you for the damage that trucks into your place are doing either.
So I want the guy there,
Right.
just tell him to.
Right, fair enough.
Just giving you a warning of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that could be worked out, I'm
Sure,
sure.
we'll do our best.
So do your best.
Yeah.
Thank
For your
you
best.
for bringing that
Yes.
to our attention. That could be a nasty surprise. Any other questions or comments?
Have you addressed the Iggy's thing yet?
Not yet.
No, I will hold the question.
Since we're trying to help the new people come in over here.
Name and address.
Trying to remember who the
Yeah.
people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, say your name every time.
Yeah.
Vittorio Verrecchia, apologize. Since we're trying to help the new people come in over there, I don't know if anybody realized, but if you're gonna put a fence on that west side of the property line, that business next door on the west side, they have their loading dock right there, and their semis backing in and out of there all the time. How are they gonna make, I don't know if that's gonna be in their way, because that driveway, it's like a big driveway, they both use it to get in and make turns and maneuvers and all kinds of stuff.
The fence is set back, so that won't be an issue. It's set back behind the loading dock. What will be an issue, and there's unfortunately nothing I can do about this, people at the site plan here. Right now, they park a tremendous amount of cars right here,
Right.
and quite frankly, they park them right here. They park them on the property that we're buying. So they're gonna have a problem, they're not gonna be able to park cars there,
Towards the back.
towards the back.
But-
In the front, they're loading, you can see their building right here,
Right.
fence starts right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then you got it.
Yeah.
Is that driveway on the east side, is that still gonna be there or no? The east driveway entrance? Yeah,
Yeah,
towards
this will
that,
be here.
that'll still be there?
Right.
Questions, comments? Are we ready for a motion now?
Yes.
Variance number 2.
Motion to approve variance number 2, the 6-foot tall security fence on the west and north lot lines, and the 5-foot green area.
It's not part of
That's
the
not part
variance.
of it. Okay, you're right. You're right.
Okay,
Okay,
just doing the fence now.
just the fence. Motion to approve.
I'll second.
And that is the second. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Fontanaro?
Yes.
Mr. Girish?
Yes.
Mr. Marisol, yes. Mr. Ronstadt?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Ms. Magnuson?
Yes. Variance number 2 will be recommended to the Board of Trustees that we grant it. It's 20 to 9. I'd like to see if we can get out of here by 9 o'clock before everybody goes brain dead.
Sure. There actually is no variation number 3.
That's right, which is the good news.
Yeah.
Variation number 3, we might make it through all 4 variations. Variation number 3 was the request for this, not to have to do the 6-inch curbs, and in follow-up discussion, the petitioners have agreed to put the curbs in, so we may skip that one. 3 is a moot point. Variance number 4. Foundation planting requirements are provided for. A minimum setback and landscape area of 6 feet in width, right in the front of the building, along the front and sides of all buildings. And the applicants are requesting that the minimum setback and landscape area of 6 feet be varied along the Montrose facade of the building where the foundation strip is already less than 6 feet. So they want to landscape the existing Montrose strip as much as is feasible given that size. Do you have any idea approximately what you're thinking that size is going to be?